Good afternoon, my friends. We're coming to you live from the bridge of the Pentagon. The west end of Catalina is in sight, and we're heading out towards the Bluefin. We will give you updates as we get cell reception.
A couple of 12-year-old boys on board the Voyager out of C4 Sport Fishing in San Diego realized their sport fishing dreams today with a great trip. They ran down to 100 miles and found a kelp paddy and then limited out by 10 a.m. on mostly 12 to 20-pound yellowtail. Beautiful grade of kelp paddy fish. These fish were eating the 30 and 40-pound fly line bait. Surface iron was also super effective, and they were nice big yellows that fought hard. They limited out by 10, so they were able to go into the coast and catch lingcod and rockfish and so much more. Michael Limon was also there, as you see him showing off his catch. And then Ethan Parcells got to gaff his very first fish, that nice yellowtail. Talk about a great trip for a couple of great young men on board the Voyager today. We're looking at the deck of the Endeavor out of Ventura Harbor Sport Fishing. You know, the weather's been up the last couple of days up there in the Channel Islands, but that didn't stop Captain Tucker McCombs and the great crew on the Endeavor for cranking out another great trip. 36 white sea bass, 6 halibut, 3 yellowtail. Tremendous fishing. Most of these fish taken on the dropper loop with 30 to 40-pound fluorocarbon, working best about an 8-ounce torpedo sinker, but heavier than that sometimes is necessary in this wind and weather. A couple of great Friedman Adventures family members will be on board the Endeavor tonight. Doug Tikt and Eddie Berrigan. We wish them the best of luck and another great trip on the Endeavor out of Ventura Sport Fishing. Deckhand is really excited as he can see all kinds of yellows off the stern of the Voyager, and he encourages young Michael Limon to pull hard on another nice kelp paddy yellowtail.
Here it comes, Michael. Here it comes. Look at right here. Look over here, Michael. Look over here. Get the fish.
Yeah.
Go back with the fish.
Come here.
Yeah, good job, guy. Good gaff. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hey, good morning, my dear friends, and welcome to beautiful Surfside, California. It's so good to be back with you all again this lovely Tuesday morning. There's a lack of wind. The ocean's beautiful, and the over-under on the guys behind me, there's a bunch of them in there. We'll put it at 5. I haven't seen them catch anything so far here this morning, but the over-under bet this morning, 5 fish. Will they catch more or less than 5 fish during the morning briefing? We've got a lot to cover with you all. There's been some weather that's been bugging us a little bit offshore. And our bluefin tuna is way more hit and miss. We'll get into that with you right now. Incredible trip on the Voyager for a couple of young boys. Man, they had an absolute ball, as you could see on the lead-in. And the guys on the Voyager not only screaming about all those yellows off their stern, but encouraging those young boys to have the trip of a lifetime. Really good stuff. We'll talk a lot about those kelp paddy yellowtail south of the border in Ensenada. We continue to get very, very good sign. They're dealing with some wind down there. Also in the Channel Islands, another white sea bass explosion. And who else? Yeah, Tucker McCombs on board the Endeavor. We've got a couple of guys on the Endeavor tonight who will be reporting to us, so we can't wait to hear more about that. And of course, we'll cover the local bass, the surf, and so much more. You know what time it is. It's time for the morning briefing. Good morning, my friends. Delicious. Man, is it good to be with you all. Thanks again for joining us here this morning. And as I said, we've got a lot to cover with you all as the tide washes up here on the Southern California beaches this early Tuesday morning. If you don't mind, hit that like button. Deeply appreciate that. Subscribe to the Friedman Adventures YouTube channel and tick the little bell. You'll be notified when there is new content. You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Apple Podcast, and Spotify, bringing us even more and more views, and we can't thank you enough. Up there around 35,000 subscribers now when you combine all our social media and our YouTube channel, and I thank you all for that. And well over 2,200 videos now on this YouTube channel. Only 3 years. We've been cranking the content out. We're going to continue to do that. Well, we got a lot to talk about. Let's start south of the border. We'll go down to Ensenada, only 70-mile drive down there. It's a gorgeous drive, by the way. I just absolutely love driving down to Baja and stopping off and grabbing some fish tacos, maybe going down to Playa Saldamondo or making a stop in Rosarito Beach and hitting La Guarita for some delicious shrimp cocktails. Great restaurant in Rosarito. If you're after a steak, you might go visit La Estancia, another great place, great ambience also. Anyway, I digress. Let's get down to Ensenada and get into the fishing. There's quite a bit of yellowtail still zooming around the local areas down there. You can pick off some yellows. There's been some excellent barracuda fishing, and calico bass fishing's been off the hook. If you want to focus just on calico bass, you can definitely do that. Some good sand bass fishing going on also. Those yellows are zooming around on what we call bird schools. They push bait to the surface, the birds get on that, and then they show you the way. You roll up on that going full steam. It's exciting. We call it run and gun fishing. You roll up on that, and then you throw a surface iron, or you can even throw a yo-yo type iron, depending on what the fish are doing. Sometimes you see that fish on the surface, and it actually represents the tip of the iceberg. There's a lot more fish down below, but right now that surface iron working good. Taddy 45, really, really effective. Mint green, blue and white, all seems to be working really, really well. And pretty nice grade, 12 to 25 pound fish. Now you can go offshore in Ensenada also, even though it's a little breezy right now, but that wind's going to come down. It looks like in a day it's going to be beautiful here at the end of the week. And man, offshore has been really, really good. There's been a lot of bluefin tuna in the 12 to 100 pound class. That big bonito's out there, and there's a lot of kelp paddy yellowtail. It seems like most of that yellowtail is further south of Ensenada, but it's starting to bleed up into the Ensenada area right now, and that's good news. Those kelp paddy yellowtail are ranging in size from 8 pounds to 20 pounds. There's really a lot of nice fat kelp paddy yellowtail. A lot of times you'll catch what we call rats, smaller yellows on the kelps, but this is anything but that. These are nice fish, and they will bite bait, surface iron. You can catch those yellows pretty much on anything when they go off the hook like they've been going. And guys are seeing a lot of fish on the lead-in. Perhaps you saw the Voyager. Oh, there's a biter. Perhaps you saw the Voyager with the boys, and the deckhand was just like yelling and screaming and pointing and talking about yellows he could just see swimming back there. So there's a lot of fish on the way up. And we still are working on that info that Sean Morgan gave us the other day about yellowfin tuna. He had a hit on that 40 miles below Ensenada, and he had good fishing. He had no bait, just throwing jigs at the fish, caught 20 yellowfin tuna, and then continued on his way to Dana Point, California. So we'll see if that gets in the mix here pretty darn soon also. Excellent fishing out of Ensenada. You can back all that up with some really good rock fishing and a lot of great pongeros down there. So I highly recommend you give that a try. All right, keep count for me back there. Remember, the over-under, I think it was 6. Is that the number I put it at? And I'm thinking this guy might have yellowfin croaker. They've been biting really good here on the bloodworms. All right, let's talk long range right now. 8-day trip on the Independence has been spectacular. Wahoo, yellowtail, yellowfin tuna. It's been a great one on board the Independence. Tremendous fishing down that way, and the variety's been great, and the weather's been beautiful. And man, you can't beat fishing on board the Independence. I'll be on there in November for an 8-day trip, and I am so looking forward to that. They're catching wahoo right now on 8-day trips. Man, it's going to be off the hook fishing when we get to that in November. That should be some really fun fishing indeed. Sorry for turning around, but I'm curious too. I'd like to know what these guys are catching. Perfect conditions here for sure. Some great long range fishing going on right now. Hopefully that's going to continue. Tax problems? Call Tim Marquez. Well, he's on the Spirit of Adventure right now, catching big bluefin tuna. But call him here in the very near future. He's been doing taxes for 35 years. He's a great Friedman Adventures family member. And if you have heating and or air conditioning needs, there's nobody better than John Lopez at Efficient Heating and Air Conditioning. John will take really good care of you. Let's talk bluefin tuna. It's been difficult here the last 24 hours for sure. I don't know if it's the weather or it's bluefin acting like bluefin, or it's just finally time for the fish not to bite as well as they've been biting. But there is no doubt about it, it has been much slower the last several days on that nighttime big bluefin tuna. Having said that, you get one of those things and you're in the driver's seat. But the fishing overall has been tough. The Royal Polaris had some 120 to 180 pound fish, few and far between. And the daytime bite, same thing, not that great. You can pick off some 30, 40 pounders, and the Royal Polaris did just that, but just a few fish. And you've got to drop down sometimes to 25-pound fluorocarbon. Guys don't want you to do that because it's really difficult to land those fish on that. Hopefully you can get them to bite on the 30 to 40-pound fluorocarbon. But once again, daytime fishing, tough, and nighttime here has been a little bit on the tougher side also. Top Gun 80 on a 3.5 day trip, 18 bluefin tuna from 50 to 217 pounds. The Spirit of Adventure on a 2-day trip, they had 5 bluefin tuna. So you're getting the point. It's much more difficult. I haven't talked to Tim Marquez on the Spirit of Adventure. He's on another trip right now, but it sounded like a tough night last night. I'll be running that down for you today as the day goes on, and we'll release some shorts if we see anything happening or do a special update and come on live to fill you all in as our 24/7 coverage continues here on Friedman Adventures. The Cortez 3.5 day trip, Rambo. Hey, Rambo, I already missed fishing with you. 31 bluefin tuna, 5 Yellowtail. Polaris Supreme 2-day trip, 28 bluefin tuna, and 23 of those were over 100 pounds. Any other year, we would be saying, wow, that is tremendous fishing. But we've got to keep things kind of in relation to how they've been, and that is slower fishing than it has been here recently. Hopefully that light switch will go back on again very, very quickly. Now, day boats and day-and-a-half boats can't get up here to this area of fish, around San Nicolas Island, San Clemente Island, out on Tannerbank where they're fishing big yellowtail. They can't get there, so they're going south and they're hitting the kelp paddies. And a lot of those guys are really happy they're doing it. That's some fun fishing, I'll tell you that. Weather was up a little bit, but the Voyager had a tremendous trip. They were done, limited out by 10 a.m. yesterday on board the Voyager. It was a great trip for Ethan Parcells and his dad, Isaac, and of course, Dan Lightfoot was there with Michael Limon, a couple old guys teaching the young kids how to enjoy sport fishing, and those two boys have really taken to the sport, and they do a great job. In fact, it was great to see Ethan gaff his very first yellowtail. I said he was 12 years old. Sorry, Ethan, you're a very mature young man. See, that's a good thing. He's 9 years old. 9 years old gaffing his first fish. That's really a memorable moment for him. He'll never, ever forget that, and he'll never, ever forget the day they had on board the Voyager yesterday. Great fishing, wide open. They had so much time on their hands because they limited out so early. They went in on the beach and caught some lingcod and rockfish to go along with it. Really fun fishing down that way. A little breezy, a little rough coming home, but great fishing. And several other boats getting in on that kind of kelp paddy action. I know the Pegasus was down there. I know the Condor was down there. Several boats are making that left-hand turn and going south right now. And the kelps, you want to fish 30 to 40-pound fluorocarbon and a fly line bait if at all possible. They will bite the yo-yo iron. And as you saw the deckhand going, look, man, look at him swimming back there. He was so excited. It was so cool to see that. Put me right on the deck with that guy when he was doing that. That is really cool stuff. And then the next thing he's doing is fixing Michael's hat and patting him on the back and encouraging him to catch another nice forky he had on the kelp. That is fun fishing down there. One of my favorite things to do is kelp paddy fishing. I like the variety, although it's mostly all yellowtail right now. As we move deeper into the season, you'll find those kelps will be holding dorado, yellowtail, maybe some yellowfin tuna, and other species too. It's fun fishing, and the anticipation and trying to work with the guys. I know they do a lot of work up there in the wheelhouse, or if they have a stick, they put somebody up in that. But man, if you can become part of that drama, keep your eyes open, and if you just get lucky and find a kelp and run up there and say, hey, Cap, there's a kelp over there. You go over and roll up on that and put 100 plus on the yellows on the boat. Man, you're a hero for the day. Somebody ought to buy you a cheeseburger if you're able to pull that off. So really nice fishing going on, no question about it. Don't forget, if you want to head to Catalina Island, you have got at your disposal the El Patron out of Long Beach Sport Fishing. They are headed to Catalina Island on a regular basis. Limits of calico bass has been the rule over there. There's some yellows. There's a little bit of sea bass. There's some rockfish. It's been really, really good. Get on the El Patron by going to www.longbeachsportfishing.org. Some really great fishing on board the El Patron. All right, my friends, let's talk about what's going on with the one-day tuna, guys. That is hit and miss. It's daytime fishing. Every once in a while, they'll crank a big number, like the Grande, like the San Diego. Those boys that are fishing from daybreak until sundown and beyond that, or getting back after sundown, let's put it that way. Man, I'll tell you, sometimes they get some big numbers. But remember, it's daytime, so it's a little bit more difficult. Starting to get a little bleed in on these yellows and Dorado, however. The San Diego yesterday, fishing, the local scene had 9 bluefin and 2 Dorado. And, of course, you can catch some of that big bonito also. So that is slowly but surely coming together. We need to get that yellow and Dorado in here because that bites with greater consistency. And then if you throw in a good hit on the bluefin from time to time, that would be great. I don't know what's with these BFT, but they just are not biting in the daytime with any kind of consistency. It's been very difficult to get them to bite. Most of the time, 30 to 40 pound fluorocarbon. Sometimes you'll have to drop down to 25. I definitely have some surface iron if I were you. And if you have heavy tackle, 2-speed reel with 100-pound spectra on it, why not? Bring it. You never know. You might roll on to some of that 100-plus pound bluefin tuna, although most of that fish on the local area has been 15 to 60 pounds, let's say. But you may roll up on some of that bigger fish, so I would definitely keep that in mind and bring some of that along with me. So really good stuff. All right, let's talk islands now. Coronado Island, still a lot of yellows there and some really good fishing. Mission Bell was there yesterday. 26 yellowtail, nothing wrong with that. They had a recent day here with, I think, 88 yellows, 86 yellows, something like that. Really big numbers of yellows. Those fish range from 8 to 20-plus pounds. They bite the fly line bait really well. They'll bite the surface iron. There's some good calico bass fishing. Rockfish has also been really, really good. Although Tanner and Cortez Bank are not an island, they're kind of wannabe islands, so I threw them in on this. There's some big yellows out there and a lot of boats, however, and you got to get position alpha out there. It's all about getting the right parking space and getting on those yellows, but if you get that right parking space, you can catch some nice big grade yellows, some of them up over 40 pounds on Tanner and Cortez. San Clemente Island. Hey, the Amigo was checking in with us early yesterday. They ended up with 17 nice fat yellowtail. I think to 40-plus pounds. They had a big sea bass to go along with it. Jason Lawler, the galley chef on board, was saying, Phil, they're boiling all around us. Incidentally, they're trying to go tonight on board the Amigo out of 22nd Street Landing. You ought to jump on board. Those big yellows are a lot of fun. Dropper loop fish. You fish 60-pound in a big hook like a 5-0 hook, an 8-ounce torpedo or heavier depending on wind and current. And man, I will tell you right now, there has been some really nice big fish. The Amigo going tonight, 310-832-8304. Say hi to Jason, Mark Paisano, Mark down on deck, Nick, all the guys on the Amigo. I love fishing that rig. It's so much fun. It's a great rig with a great crew, and they go tonight to try to put some numbers together for you. Thunderbird over there at Clemente's been having some really excellent fishing. The Fury has been having some really excellent fishing. Yellows over there, 19 on the Fury. So nice hits going on at SCI. At San Catalina Island, we see really good bass fishing. As we mentioned, the El Patron been over there. Pursuit, good calico bass fishing, and then a sprinkling of other stuff. Halibut, maybe a sea bass, maybe a yellowtail, maybe not. Some shallow water rockfish. The mighty blue perch are making a comeback at Catalina Island. We're seeing quite a bit of BPs over there, crapper snappers, as we used to call them back in the day. So Cat's got a variety of fish. I wouldn't say wide open, but gorgeous weather. It's beautiful sunrise here this morning. Absolutely gorgeous. It's going to be a beautiful morning at Catalina Island. So pretty good variety over there. El Patron going on a regular basis. You're going to want to get on board www.longbeachsportfishing.org to get on the El Patron. Up there in the Channel Islands, we turn our attention to Tucker McCombs. Man, these birds are going absolutely freaking nuts here. Whoa, what is up, man? There must be a wall of yellowfin croaker out there. Great trip on board the Endeavor as Tucker McCombs came up with another sea bass hit, 36 white sea bass. 3 on the yellowtail, 6 on the halibut. Tremendous score, and that in some very tough weather and conditions. It was really, really difficult, but Tucker made it happen. Great score for them up there in that neck of the woods. So once again, dropper loop fishing is the best way day in and day out to take those sea bass up in the Channel Islands. That was an exceptional hit. The halibut, same thing. Dropper loop is going to be your best friend. They do have live squid up there. And once this weather backs up, Thursday, Friday looks like it's going to be really, really nice. Going to come down a little bit more tomorrow. Who knows, man? Maybe finally we'll get the consistency to the bite. But here recently, Tucker's been putting together a string of really nice days over on the Mirage. They've had some halibut, white sea bass, yellowtail. Seen a lot more yellowtail starting to move in there. Of course, those squid beds are a magnet that attract all kinds of game fish. So hopefully that's going to continue to head in the right direction. And Doug Tikt. Good morning, Doug. What a Friedman Adventures family member you are. Always there to help us out. Deeply appreciated. And Eddie Berrigan, of course, his daughter is such a wonderful person. Bella, you're number one. And I hope you guys have a great trip tonight on board the Endeavor. Island Spirit yesterday, they couldn't fish the rockfish in the deeper water because the weather was up too much. But they managed to scratch out a day, caught some barracuda, a lot of calico bass, released 3 black sea bass. I mean, pretty fun fishing going on board the Island Spirit yesterday as they got out and fished some of the islands locally out there. Well, let me save that for the local situation. I'm talking islands right now. And again, he was able to hide from the wind and weather and put together a nice day. They go tomorrow, by the way, on board the Island Spirit. It looks like it's going to be a very light load, and you're going to want to become part of that trip. I'm telling you, you'll absolutely love the Island Spirit. Excellent fishing, great crew, great galley grub with Bert. You're going to love it. And you can get on the Island Spirit by calling 805-676-3474, or just go to venturasportfishing.com and you can sign up online. They're going Wednesday for sure, or not for sure. You get a few more signups. They're going. I'm saying they're going for sure here very, very soon. These birds are driving me nuts, man. Somebody ought to be throwing a chrome crocodile lure right there. So some pretty good stuff up there in the Channel Islands, and hopefully it's going to continue to head in the right direction up there in that neck of the woods. That takes us to the 1/2 and 3/4 day boats. And let me tell you, down there in San Diego, the Seaforth based boats are doing good on the calico bass. All those guys down there are doing really good. Calico bass are biting down there. The Dolphin had excellent bass fishing out of Fisherman's Landing. It's really, really good bass fishing. Sometimes a lot of shorts, but good action. And, 12, 15-pound fluorocarbon and a good hot bait, especially if you can find a chovy in the tank, you will be bit like nobody else's business. You will outfish the guy next to you who's fishing with 25 or 30-pound. Like you can't believe. Light line, good hot bait, chovy if possible. You're on. You'll be killing the bass down there. And they've had some white sea bass that we showed you yesterday, a nice white sea bass on the new Seabass. There's been a sprinkling of yellowtail. It's been really, really excellent local fishing up there. Oceanside, they're picking at the bass. Dana Wharf has had similar kind of situation with regard to the bass fishing up there. And then as we get up here to the LA Orange County area, occasionally you'll see some really good bass fishing. How about the cover of the morning briefing? Benjamin Morrison and Stephen Conradi on board the Monte Carlo with a couple fat calico bass, picking at the bass up here. Some days it gets really good on the sand bass and calico bass, and then it looks more like December, picking at sculpin, whitefish, rockfish. It's just been a season that's slow to develop, which tells me we're going to have one heck of a fall. We have yet to see any kind of consistent barracuda bite here or sand bass bite. We've had occasional good hits on the bass here, but in terms of the consistency, it's lacking. Hopefully, it's right around the corner up there, Marina del Rey. We continue to see a little bit of bass up there, especially on their twilight trips. Redondo, same kind of a situation. Good twilight fishing up there in that neck of the woods. And then up in the Ventura area, along the coast, a little bit more sand bass up there and some barracuda on the coastal regions, kind of trying to develop. In fact, the Island Spirit says if that really gets going here at any point in time in the near future, they'll start doing some twilight trips also. Twilight sand bass fishing up there would be an absolute ball. I'll drive up there for one of those for sure. So that's where we are on that kind of a bite. We'll get into the surf in a moment here, but I did want to mention to you that the new Huck Finn out of San Francisco, they've had a little bit of windy weather, but they're still catching 23 guys on their most recent trip, 45 striped bass and 19 halibut, catching limits of halibut, which is 2 per rod up there, has not been a problem on many of their days. And Lake Havasu, California, Don Brockman made his last trip of the year, and they had 50 striped bass. Don Brockman having a great time. Donnie, good to see you having so much fun. He said, you know, it's getting too hot here. My last trip of the year, or of the foreseeable future. He's going to get out of there for a little while and leave the heat to somebody else. Birds picking bait all through here. I don't know if you're seeing that behind me there, but man, birds are just picking bait all through here, which takes me to the surf fishing report. You see this, and I know you can't see it, but I can see it. You see birds dipping, man, you're throwing a jig on that little 3/4 ounce chrome crocodile. You will be on to something. Could be a halibut. There's bait there, so there's going to be predators. Could be a halibut, could be yellowfin croaker, could be barred perch, could be any number of things. Down towards San Diego, still some good barred perch fishing going on. A lot of corvina in the SoCal surf right now. Down around Huntington Beach, we're seeing that. Excellent fishing. Bolsa Chica here in Surfside. It's been great fishing, but I think it slowed up here this morning. You know better than me. You've been watching this. I haven't. And then up in the Santa Monica Bay, we saw Joss DeZiel catching copious amounts. Somebody told me I need to get another word other than copious. But I really like copious. And I feel like you and I have a connection with that word copious. Yes, I could say voluminous, or I could pick some other words. I can get my thesaurus out and start looking up other words, but copious, I like it. I still like copious, okay? Copious amounts of corvina up that way, and some pretty good barred perch fishing up around Ventura County line. We'll continue to see some good fishing up there. Don't forget Big Fish Bait and Tackle in the beautiful city of Seal Beach, California, right down here on the corner of PCH and Seal Beach Boulevard. They've got all the bait you need. They've got tackle from trout to big game fishing. They've got it all for you, and they're giving away a free custom rod every single month this year. Not just one time, every single month, and it's free to get it. You got to go in there, buy the ruler. You got to have a uniform ruler so everybody's on the same page with regard to that. But once you get that ruler, you're in every single month. This month, it's for the biggest spot fin croaker. Next month, not sure what the species will be, but it will change, and you'll have an opportunity to win a beautiful custom rod from Big Fish Bait and Tackle. Bloodworms have been working really well for these guys. That has been the bait of choice. These guys said they go to Seal Beach around the rocks, the jetty area, and they dig up bloodworms over there. But you can go to Big Fish Bait and Tackle and make your life so much easier by picking up some bloodworms today. All right, really good stuff going on. Hey, 10% off when you order from PromarAhi.com. They've got that new fluorocarbon, the GT4 fluorocarbon. You might want to try that. More line, less expensive, and it's really great stuff. GT4 from PromarAhi.com. Put in FA at checkout for 10% off. You won't regret that. All right, my friends, I'm going to continue to be watching this all day long for you on an absolutely beautiful, gorgeous morning here in SoCal. Oh, hey, John Garma. Yeah, John fishes on all our trips. He got his first legal halibut in the surf yesterday. John, forgive me for leaving that to the very end. But John Garma with a nice catch yesterday. Way to go. I almost forgot you. Forgive me, my friend. Hey, have a great day, everybody. I wish you some great fishing adventures in the very near future. I'll keep you in touch all day long today. And as always, I hope to see you really, really soon.